Perch, and we're looking at another one of these lists here. This one coming by way of Newsarama, the most iconic LGBTQIA plus superheroes in comic books. Now, there's a lot of lists like this because I was looking at some others, and there's tons of these lists, but this one is curious. So right off the start, before we go down this list, and unfortunately. We see from this first image they put in here, clearly Tim Drake is going to be part of it. Now, Tim Drake obviously was most recently revealed to be, I think they're going with bisexual at the moment. But it is, this is new. So I don't know about most iconic Tim Drake. I mean, you wouldn't have Tim Drake on a most iconic hero yet, would you? I mean, I don't know. What does iconic mean? I mean, does it mean time? Like, I don't know. This is the issue I would have with this. The way I think this article is going to go is, what is the definition of iconic here? Are we just talking about heroes everybody knows who happens to fall into the LGBTQIA plus scenario? And is this revealed? Are we talking about people who just came out like a month ago? Are they known for that? Like, are you talking about most iconic superheroes who are LGBTQIA plus, or are we talking about most iconic LGBTQIA plus superheroes? Do you see the different I'm overthinking this, but let's go through this list and see what we got here. So we have a recommended video for me. Okay, I don't know. All right, Tim Drake. Sure enough, Tim Drake comes right out the gate as one of these characters. Now, keep in mind, he came out in August. Like they kind of fully confirmed this less than a month ago. So again, I think this is kind of odd to put on this list. Obviously, not a people know Tim Drake. I do think that there's the storyline is here is exploring his own sexuality. So he hasn't named what he is, but he's joined the. This is also weird. He's officially joined the queer community in comic book canon or as readers. Obviously us as the readers have seen this story, but has he come out in the DC universe? Is he just kind of dating Bernard on the side? I mean, he's great. This is an odd, when you're talking about an iconic list, and we say basically he doesn't know what's going on yet. He hasn't named what he is. He's just kind of experimenting with the date. I think there's a lot of very powerful, very great LGBTQI. There's very great queer characters that would come up before Tim. But all right, let's see what's next. Kitty Pryde. All right, so I think this one is terrible as a pick for, again, iconic. Once again, kind of for the same reason as Tim. She kissed a girl and she was kind of drunk at the time in Marauders number 12. And they reference that, like, her bisexuality was finally confirmed on the page as she shares a kiss with a female tattoo artist. I mean, really? That's an iconic LGBTQI character, because they've done nothing since then. She had a kiss in one panel with a tattoo artist. She'd been drinking whiskey heavily and getting some tats that say, I think, to talk up her wanting to kill Shaw. And they haven't followed up at all with anything. So what? But okay, this article does mention this, that Chris Claremont, who did say in 2016, this is not exactly correct. He said one of the things he had thought about was having Kitty end up with Rachel Summers, which conflicted with some of the things he'd done in the past around Rachel being in a relationship with Franklin and other. I mean, he was actively doing things in the future. So this wasn't, anyway. Regardless, I think this quote from Claremont has been morphed and twisted a little bit. I've talked to Claremont directly. I think he was taken a bit out of context. He did have this idea, no doubt about it, but the groundwork was never done. In fact, groundwork was done in other areas. Regardless, we're talking about an iconic LGBTQ, why am I saying it this way? Queer character. We're talking about an iconic queer character. Kitty Pryde with one kiss on one panel. Like, that's disrespectful to a lot of other. I mean, like, where's Midnight or Apollo at this point? But okay, Mystique. All right, Mystique is okay. I don't know about necessarily iconic, but at least in this case, they did kind of reference that she was bisexual, pansexual for a while. This isn't a new thing. And that this, in this case, Claremont has also said that this was always his intent, and it reads that way. If you read some of the early stuff with Mystique, she seemed they seemed like both her sexuality was as fluid as her shape-changing ability and everything else. Again, iconic, I mean, I don't know about that, but sure, at least this one starts to be somebody with some history. So that's good. Jackson Hyde. All right. So Jackson Hyde is an interesting one because Jackson Hyde, as was pointed out, was shown, having a girlfriend back in, what is it, Brightest Day? Following up from Blackest Night. It was, I think it was Brightest Day. And they then changed the character to be a queer character, but they didn't really, I mean, it wasn't one of those cases where he discovered himself, or if that happened, they haven't done a comic of it. It's like, hey, it's a new 52 and he's gay now. That's what we have. So anyway, he's a queer black man, and it says he's about to graduate to the mantle of Aquaman. I'm not sure that's what's happening, but he is going to be in this title. So again, iconic. This list seemed like it's written by somebody who's really only been reading comics for about 5 years. That's the problem I'm coming to have with this. Alan Scott. All right. Alan Scott was turned into a queer character in the New 52 Earth 2 title. He hadn't been. He'd been written as straight prior to that. They've done a little. They've done, in fairness to DC, a lot more work than Marvel in terms of trying to explain kind of what's happened there, and that he was basically in the closet, but then he grew more comfortable with himself and everything else. So at least they made a story here. Again, as a iconic character. I'm like Batwoman. We haven't gotten to Batwoman yet, or the Ray. I don't know. Anyway, but all right. What burns me up about Alan Scott, again, as somebody who's read a lot of comics, is Alan Scott. And they do mention it here. Alan Scott's son Obsidian has been gay since 2004. Said beating his dad to the punch. Like, why are we talking about queer characters this way? It's gross. This idea of like, it's canon now, thanks to that kiss, and they beat his dad to beat. I'm like, what? Why are you doing this way? I think that the part that irritates me about Alan Scott is they basically abandoned Obsidian. Like they did some good work. Obsidian, his coming out, and kind of that character, and the work they put in. Was good work. It was substantial. It made sense. It was good writing at the time. And then it's like, Obsidian's not popular enough. Kind of bury him, and we'll make Alan Scott gay instead. That's how it came across. It's that part is gross. Loki. All right. Loki is an interesting one. Loki is, how are they going to call it? Loki's gender fluid. Al Ewing confirmed that Loki is bisexual, which is wrong, by the way. Al Ewing is incorrect. Loki has not just. He's all sexual. He's. I'm not even sure what is the pronoun you want to use here. I mean, we have seen Loki certainly as a man, as a woman, as a kid, as an animal, as a mythological creature, having sex with all of the above, but not with kids, but the rest. Loki is sexual with everything. That's kind of his deal. They say it here. Loki, Asgardian culture doesn't share human concepts of sexuality and sexual identity. Yeah, they do though. But okay. Characters regularly switch pronouns when referring to Loki based on his presentation. I mean, sure, if he's showing. I mean, okay. Odin calls him a child who's both male and female. And animal. I mean, this is why. All right. Then we get into this paragraph. While Loki has been a longtime villain and codifying villains as queer can be problematic. Why? There's queer heroes. There's queer villains. Like, why are why is it problematic exactly? I mean, because we don't want it to be. That's odd. But anyway, whatever. So Loki, sure. Iconic, yeah, maybe. I don't know if this is the best representation of a queer character, but I mean, because again, we've seen him as a dragon having sex with other dragons and being in a relationship with like trolls and other things. I mean, okay. Northstar, sure. This one fits on the list for sure because this was 1992. He came out again. That comic is cringy though because it's wrapped up in a storyline about a AIDS baby. Like it's weird. That comic is not as you remember it, but Northstar for sure has been gay for since '92. Has they've done the work there. John Byrne explained Northstar's written as gay from the get-go. Yeah, again, if you read those issues, that does check out for sure. And he was married in Astonishing X-Men 51, and unlike most marriages in comics, he's still married. So that's nice. But okay, Northstar fits. I'm there. Hulkling and Wiccan. All right, this fits too. I think this is one of those relationships that Marvel seems to like remember and then do a lot about and then forget for like 3 years. And then we're like, oh, we've got this couple that that is relatively popular. Hulkling and Wiccan, certainly. They rushed them into a marriage in Empire that felt more like a publicity stunt than a natural evolution of the characters. I'm glad they're married, I guess, but it sums up a lot of what's going on with queer characters in comics right now, where it seems more about the press release and about the "we got one" than actually doing good storytelling. But all that said, Alan Heinberg, who created this pair, again from the get-go, very kind of natural gay couple, I think has been written consistent and well, and no issues there. So iconic, sure. I'm signing off on this one. Oh, Coagula. Okay, this one is an interesting one. This character is from Doom Patrol. This is with Rachel Pollack's run, and we talked a little bit about this during the interview with Rachel Pollack. I don't know, like iconic. I mean, a lot of people remember this character because this character was written well and had a lot of depth, and they did a good job. This was a queer transsexual woman. And yeah, this date now, they haven't done anything. Like, I don't, when was the last time we saw Coagula? It's been 20 years more. It's been a long time. But this was back, believe it or not. And I know it's hard to believe based on how people talk about it today. There used to be queer characters in comics back before 2015. Did you realize it's true? Rachel Pollack, a trans writer, actually worked in comics in the 90s, early 90s. I know that comics has been a hateful, terrible industry for up until about 3-4 years ago when finally it became accepting. But yeah, this character actually, so I'm proud of this article for putting in Coagula. That's good for them that they remember that. Iceman. All right. Iceman is an interesting case because I like this, how they describe it. The younger Bobby Drake was psychically outed as homosexual by Jean Grey. Jesus. Like, even in this article that's trying to make it sound good, like that sounds disturbing. Psychically outed. Yikes. Jean Grey's a bitch. While Jean Grey's invasion of Bobby's privacy is problematic. Yeah, you think? Anyway. It's notable in the way it reframes past and future stories. This is hilarious. It definitely is notable in how it reframes the past. The controversy surrounding Iceman's outing may have muddied the waters a bit on what is an important moment in Marvel history, but it did allow readers and creators alike to participate in a dialogue about the realities of these situations in everyday life. The realities, like a psychic pulling this stuff out of your mind and ignoring decades of continuity without any real explanation. Sure, that happens in everyday life. Iceman, I mean, I would be on board at this point. It's been a while now. He's gay. They're sticking with that, but they don't do anything with this character. Every now and then, in Marauders, somebody remembers Iceman exists, and they have him like wander into a panel and go, "I'm into men," and then he vanishes for 10 issues. So if you're gonna, have an iconic queer character, like you need to actually put him in some comics, not just dating men, but like have him beat up some people trying to invade Krakoa, and then he can go out on a date, and then there's a fire in the bar and he's got to put that out with his ice powers. I don't know what you're doing, but anyway, you got to actually use him. You can't just say, we've got one, and then proceed to bury him, which is what Marvel does. Okay, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Yeah, sure. This one is definitely established at this point in DC. This kind of relationship. I think the cartoon helped this immensely. That was really where a lot of these things went for. Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti confirmed that they were non-monogamous girlfriends. Sure. Okay. There you go. So yeah, this one probably fits. This is iconic. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, sure. Again, this entire article is clearly written from like a 3-year-old view of the industry, but all right. Constantine, sure. Sure. Constantine has been, Constantine, this is, I know is controversial. Some people think they change Constantine, everything else, but they always had I think if you look at Constantine and you look at some of the Vertigo books, they were writing this character as bisexual, in my opinion, for quite a while. So anyway, Constantine, yeah, probably. Okay, we'll go with that. Finally, all right, Midnighter and Apollo, probably the one of the best couples that they have, the queer couples in comics. Midnighter and Apollo were, again, written this way from the start. The thing that works with this couple is that by naming them as a couple, they didn't feel compelled to have no storylines for the characters other than them being a couple. They send them out beating up enemies. The stuff they did in The Authority had a lot of action in it, and so they weren't defined by only one trait. They had other things going on, and this was a good thing. So anyway, cool. Batwoman. All right, Batwoman. This is probably true. This one is, of course, marred by the fact that DC wouldn't let the wedding go forward. But this one is sure. This would be, what can you say about Batwoman? Wonder Woman. All right. What do we have? Until recently, Wonder Woman's status as a queer character is contentious. All right. Sure. Imbuing the character the passion for social justice and maintaining the queer identity that is There's a lot of reading into things. And I was suspecting, okay, so they're basically some comments from Greg Rucka said the answer is obviously yes when asked about her sexuality, if she's a queer or at least bisexual, non-binary type relationship, because she has been in relationships obviously with Steve Trevor, Batman, and Superman. It's worth noting that Wonder Woman, I don't believe, has ever been in a relationship with a woman, at least not at this level, but maybe I'm forgetting something. But I don't know, would you call Wonder Woman an iconic queer character? I don't again, Greg Rucka saying, yeah, of course she is a queer character, doesn't mean that there's been any stories or comics or anything that really kind of reinforce that. If you look at like Batwoman, yes, lots of stories, lots core to her character. Midnight Apollo, yes. Constantine, yes. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, absolutely. Bobby Drake never gets on the page, but somewhat. Coagula, absolutely. Hulkling and Wiccan, yes. Northstar, yes. But several of these have only had brief hints and nothing else. And Wonder Woman's one of these cases where it feels more like people have made comments to this effect, but nobody has actually done anything. Nobody's actually, I mean, there's been no real stories reinforcing any of this. Yes, I have read some of the early, stories that they say are coded as queer, but I mean, not really. Again, you have to read into a lot of this, and if the answer is obviously yes, says Greg Rucka, then the next time you're writing a comic with Wonder Woman, say that, like in the comic. Like if you want to say the answer is obviously yes, you can't just say it on the outside. So like, see, we got another one, but then you don't do anything in the comic. That's the problem with like half the things on this list. They're either brand new, like Tim Drake over here, or they were one panel with Kitty, or they're just completely MIA, like Iceman over here. That's the problem with this list, in my opinion. But anyway, okay, most iconic See, this is why the headline's bugging me. I'm going through that list. It sums it up. But again, where's Ray? Where is I mean, Karma would be another one that you could throw in here. I think there's several. Dakin would be another one that was established. I think, I don't know. I think there's characters that you can put in here, but this is an odd list. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, like and subscribe as always, and thanks for listening.